Hi, it's me, Caroline Pierce, and I want to talk to you today about all things training. Training matters. How often to train, when to train, and just answer some of those questions that confuse so many people as to protocols, how to structure a training program, when to rest and recover, for example. So training is a bit of a minefield for a lot of people, so I want to cover some of those issues. And I'm going to start by talking about my own training. It's the first thing a lot of people ask me. They say, I bet you spend hours in the gym. Do you train every day? Well, the truth is no. I do a structured training session at least 5 times a week, sometimes 6 times a week. And on the 6th or 7th day, I'll tend to do something active recovery or just hike or walk or have some relaxation time, and often it's dictated by the work that I'm doing. But I don't spend hours in the gym. 45 minutes to 1 hour is the maximum amount of time I'll spend in the gym, because it's really about maximizing your time and being efficient when you're in there or doing some kind of outdoor activity than it is just putting in hours and hours of work, because then you're tending to break down your body, becomes monotonous, it becomes harder to fit into your working week. So typically I'm somebody that does a lot of high intensity circuit style training. Okay, you won't find me on a treadmill or a bike for hours at a time just doing steady state cardio. I think it's far more efficient for fat burning, for giving that metabolic effect, to do short bursts of exercise. So I'll typically do circuit training or weight training around 3 to 4 times a week, and I'll start and end that workout typically with something steady state just to warm up. So 20 minutes on a bike or a treadmill walking at the beginning or the end. On the days that I'm not doing my circuits or my weight training, that's when I'll do my interval training. So I'll get onto a given piece of cardio equipment, whether it's the treadmill or the bike or the stepper, and I tend to do 30-second intervals. So I'll do 30 seconds hard, all out at a high intensity, then I'll do 30 seconds easy walk or cycle, recovery stride, and then I'll do 30 seconds again, high intensity. So I typically do between 10 and 30 efforts of 30 seconds. Okay, you can either work 15 seconds even faster with 45 seconds active recovery, or you can do a minute, for example, on, and a minute, for example, active recovery. So that's the way I tend to do my cardio. Very rarely, apart from warm up or cool down, will I do steady state cardio, because that's what works personally for me. I'm also not somebody that does body part training, so I don't allocate a leg day, arm day, an ab day, for example. I tend to do total body workouts every time I do a circuit training. And I have a system that I like to use, and it's my legs, arms, abs rotation system plus a burner. So what that means is I do an exercise for my upper body, my lower body, and then my abdominals. I typically do that in a rotation, and each time I go through that rotation, I'll then add a cardio burner. That could be a burpee, a split squat jump, a squat jump, high knees, mountain climbers, anything like that. So that's my system of training, and literally in 20 minutes, almost Tabata style, I can get a really, really good burn going on and have achieved what some people will do with an hour in the gym just plodding around different bits of equipment. When I do my weight training, I tend to superset. So I'm going to bring in some terminology here and help to explain it for those people that don't know. So a superset is when you pair 2 exercises together and you perform each exercise one after another, and then you might do multiple sets of that superset. So for example, you can superset what we call antagonistic muscles. So a bicep and a tricep are antagonistic muscles, okay, because they're opposite or opposing muscles. Or you can superset opposite muscles from different body parts. So a leg exercise with an upper body exercise, which is what I tend to do. So my superset might be squats with bench press, okay, and I might do 3 sets of that, and then I move on to the next superset, which might be lunges with tricep dips. Okay, so that's the principle behind a superset. And if I'm going to do supersets, typically I'm doing around 5 different exercise combinations, and each of those 2 to 3 times through. Okay, that's my personal way of doing my superset training. So circuits and supersets are a great way to train the body, where you don't actually have to rest in between too much, because you're not just working one muscle over and over again. Whilst you're working the opposite or the opposing muscle, the other one's to some extent resting, enabling you not to have to take rest time between your workouts and get more bang for your buck, if you like, more efficiency for all of your workouts. I use a whole range of equipment, and I suggest that you try different equipment in the gym to keep it interesting and to keep your body guessing. And there's so much out there. You've got medicine balls, kettlebells, barbells, dumbbells, TRX, Power Plate, which is a product that I personally have worked with for 10 years. It's a vibration training machine, for those of you that don't know. You've got Bosu balls, you've got Swiss balls, you've got medicine balls. There's so many different bits of equipment to play with. The point behind all of them is that they can in different ways guide your movement. So a kettlebell can guide your movement in a different way a medicine ball and a dumbbell might be able to do. So kettlebell with swings, the handle enables you to get that swing in a rotational movement. A medicine ball lends itself to placing it between the knees for leg lowers, for throwing it and slamming it from side to side. So pick your equipment according to what it is you want to do with your training, and don't be afraid to mix it up to keep your body guessing. The purpose is that you've just got some weight there of some kind to aid and assist with your training and your development. And the key really is to keep your body guessing. I tend to recommend training in a certain way for about 4 weeks, okay? And then after 4 weeks, switching it up. So each week you're still getting that variety. You're mixing up circuit training, interval training, cardio training, active recovery. But then after 4 weeks of doing those similar sessions each day, or 5-6 days a week, whatever you can manage, 3 for some people, after 4 weeks of that periodization, then you want to start taking things up a notch, okay? Because the body will tend to reach what we call a plateau. So with a plateau, it's when your body has adjusted to what you've been giving it. Okay, it said, right, I can cope with this now. My muscles are adapted, my energy system's adapted, and I feel pretty good. What have you got for me now? Okay, so when you start to see your results flattening out, things start to feel easy, that's when you take things up a notch. So that's that next 4 weeks of training. For some people, it might happen sooner. It might happen after 3 weeks. For other people, it might take a little bit longer if, for example, you've missed workouts or you've been ill or anything like that has been stressing you out. So, but 4 weeks is a typical period in which to enable your body to adjust and adapt and then move it on to the next level. So how can you increase your workout and move it up to the next level? There's several ways you can do that. And it depends again on your goal with your training. So one of the ways is with repetitions. You can increase the number of repetitions for each exercise. And this is if you're really wanting to become fit and get better sort of strength cardio, if you like. You can also increase the number of sets that you perform. You can increase the amount of weight that you lift or the resistance that you push if you're using stationary equipment. You can start to reduce your recovery time. You can start to train more frequently. You can start to include some active recovery, so you recover quicker, and again, you can train more frequently. And then just try something new. Try something, a different challenge or a different piece of equipment that maybe you've looked at and been uncertain of. Ask the trainer, ask someone that you see using it, if they can guide you on how to do it. I get that with power plate all the time. People see the vibration machine sitting in the corner of the gym and they just say, well, what does it do? I can see it vibrates, I can see people standing on it. You know, ask somebody, because the purpose behind vibration is it can really accelerate your workout by activating your muscles at a much faster rate. Okay, so don't be afraid to try something new to take your training to the next level. Other simple things, like if you're someone that's always doing double leg squats, for example, start to do a single leg squat. So we call it going from bilateral to so unilateral movements, bilateral to unilateral. If you're someone that does a push-up with your feet on the floor, or even on your knees, progress to having your feet on your feet, so your knees are off the ground. If your feet are already on the floor, do a decline push-up, so your feet are then elevated, so you've got more effort going through the shoulders. If you're somebody that normally squats to just above 90 degrees, see if you can get a little bit deeper. So many ways to actually manipulate each given exercise to increase the demand and the difficulty of your exercise. And one of the most important things I'd say to you is to set yourself goals and have a purpose when you go into your training. So it's all very well me talking about periodization and adjusting your training every 4 weeks, but what is your goal? What are you training for? Set yourself a goal for each individual session. Set yourself a goal for each week or each 4-week period. And set yourself that long-term goal, the one that you're ultimately working towards, whether that's to run a half marathon, a 10K, whether it's to go on a hike and reach the top without having to stop to catch your breath, whether it's to be able to swim X number of lengths of the pool, again, without having to stop and take a breath. But set yourself a goal and train in a specific way towards it. And that's a term that I want to introduce here, and that's specificity. Sometimes can't say that one. Specificity. So that's about training specifically for what you want to accomplish. For example, if you're a football player, okay, you don't train by playing tennis. Okay, if you're somebody that wants to run a marathon, you don't train by swimming. Okay, so do the exercises or the sport or the activity you like that you want to get better at. And then break it down into different components to train the muscle groups that you require to be strong to do that. Okay, so let's take an example of running. Ultimately, if you want to run any kind of distance or race in some kind of run, you want to be running for your training. Okay, you want to be running on a treadmill, but then if your race is going to be on the road, you need to get out on the road. I'm not saying run on the road every day, because then that can pose problems for injuries and stress fractures and you know, that sort of impact training. So that's why it is good to get onto a cross trainer and maybe run on a treadmill, because it absorbs a little bit of shock absorption there as well. Run on the grass or something softer, sand as well, if you want to minimise the impact to your joints. But essentially you need to get out there and you need to run on the terrain at which you're going to be racing on, or whatever the purpose is. And also think about what happens when I run. I put one foot in front of the other. So it's more beneficial for me to do single leg exercises than it is to train double leg, double leg hops and jumps or double leg squat. Okay, you want to be doing lunges. You want to be replicating that movement pattern of running. What about your arms? Grab dumbbells and do running arms, like driving your arms as well to replicate, again, the movement pattern. Think about every time you put your foot down on a track or a road, the stability you require on your ankle, your knee, and your hip to do so. So include some stability work into your training as well. So what I also do in my training sessions, I've got the bulk of my workout, which might be the interval or the cardio, or the circuit training or the supersets that I just talked about, but I tend to top and tail other things onto it. So I might do a complete ab workout at the end, for example, or I might do a stability workout, which means standing on either power plate vibration or on a Bosu ball in order to get that stability around my ankles. Have I got any injuries and therefore need to attend to some sort of mobilization or some kind of exercise to strengthen that area where I'm feeling weak? So think of a training session as the bulk of the workout you want to do, the warm up and cool down either side, and then some of the smaller, finer movements that you can add on as well, the stabilization, the core work, transverse as part of the core as well, which doesn't mean just the sit-ups, it's working those underlying muscles, the underlying muscles that you get through doing leg lowers and Pilates style exercises, which again can really help and support any exercise or sport that you do. So the message really is here, have a goal. Have a big goal, a long-term goal, break it down into weekly components, and each time you go into that gym, don't walk aimlessly around picking things up, have a purpose. This is my session today, write it down. Okay, if you feel good, push a little bit harder. If you're having a bad day, maybe ease back a little bit, because that's just as important to listen to your body. Okay, sometimes I have the best intentions of the world to do the training sessions I set out, but I could go into the gym or wake up and something's stiff, or I'm just physically, emotionally, mentally exhausted. And sometimes the best thing is just to get something moving. Just do a short walk on the treadmill or cycle. Because if you overly stress your body, what you're doing is essentially increasing the stress hormone, which is cortisol. And cortisol as a stress hormone reduces the body's ability to mobilize fat. So if your goal is weight loss and you're super stressed and your body's hurting and you're pushing it even further, your cortisol levels, that hormone, shoot up, and essentially you're then creating more stress for the body and you're inhibiting the fat loss results that you want. So I really would listen to your body each time you go into the gym. And I think lastly, my take-home message is to have fun. Exercise should be fun. If it's not fun, it's harder to motivate yourself to do it. And if fun for you is training with a friend, having a buddy, if fun for you is doing activities that are outside of the gym and they involve, hiking, climbing, swimming, tennis, badminton, team sports, whatever it is, do that as well. Just make sure to condition yourself for those exercises with strength exercises to support and help you along the way. If classes are your thing and you like being part of a big group and having an instructor lead you for that session, great, do a class. But make it fun, listen to your body, take time to learn and ask people how different bits of equipment work, and most of all, be consistent. Okay, I hope that's helped a little bit, and I will speak to you next time. Bye-bye.